I met a man once at one of my seminars. He was 65 years old, sitting in the back row with his arms crossed. After the event, he came up to me with tears in his eyes. He said, "Jim, I've been telling myself for 40 years that I was going to start tomorrow. Tomorrow I'd read those books. Tomorrow I'd start that business. Tomorrow I'd fix my marriage. Tomorrow I'd get in shape." He paused, looked down at his worn shoes, and said something I'll never forget. "I ran out of tomorrows, and now all I have is a pile of what-ifs." That conversation changed how I looked at procrastination. See, we think waiting costs us nothing. We think that postponing our dreams, our plans, our disciplines is somehow a neutral decision. But it's not neutral, it's expensive. Every month you wait, every year you delay, you're not just standing still. The world is moving forward, opportunities are passing by, and compound interest, both positive and negative, is doing its work, whether you participate or not. Here's something most people never calculate. If you waste 1 month, you're not just losing 30 days. A month turns into a year turns into a decade, and before you know it, you're that 5-year-old man standing in front of someone like me, wondering where your life went. The mathematics are simple but devastating. 1 wasted month this year becomes 12 wasted months. Multiply that by 10 years, and you've thrown away 120 months of potential progress. That's 10 years of reading you didn't do, 10 years of skills you didn't develop, 10 years of relationships you didn't build, 10 years of health you didn't invest in. The difference between people who succeed and people who don't isn't talent, it's not luck, it's not connections or education or where they were born. The difference is simple. Some people are wishers, and some people are workers. Wishers sit around hoping their circumstances will change. They buy lottery tickets literally and figuratively, hoping that somehow, some way, life will get easier. Workers understand something fundamental. Nothing changes until you change. Your life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I was 25 years old, I was broke. Not just financially broke, I was broke in every area of my life. My bank account had pennies in it. I had more excuses than dollars. My promises to myself had become worthless because I'd broken them so many times. I remember standing in my small apartment, looking at the stack of unpaid bills, and something inside me snapped. It wasn't motivation that hit me that day, it was disgust. I was disgusted with my own excuses, disgusted with my lack of discipline, disgusted with the gap between what I said I wanted and what I was actually doing about it. That's when my mentor, Mr. Schoaf, came into my life and said something that pierced right through my comfortable misery. "Jim, if you want things to change, you have to change. If you want things to get better, you have to get better. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better." Those words landed on me like a hammer because I'd been doing exactly what he described, wishing my circumstances would improve while I stayed the same. Disgust is a powerful emotion. Most people are comfortable with their misery. They complain about their jobs but show up every Monday. They complain about their health but eat the same meals. They complain about being broke but have the same spending habits. Comfortable misery is a trap because it's just comfortable enough that you don't feel the urgent need to change, but it's miserable enough that you're slowly dying inside. The man who's drowning in the middle of the ocean takes action immediately. But the man standing in water up to his chin, he'll stand there for years, complaining about the water level, never thinking to simply walk to shore. Now, everyone gets excited about January. New year, new you, fresh start, all that. But here's the truth. January 2026 isn't special. February isn't special. Thursday afternoon at 3:47 isn't special. The calendar doesn't care about your plans. What makes any moment special is your decision to act. I've seen people transform their entire lives starting on a random Tuesday in September. I've seen people waste every January for 30 years straight. The month doesn't make you successful, your decisions do. So when I talk about a 1-month success plan, I'm not selling you on January magic. I'm challenging you to prove to yourself that you can commit to something for 30 days. 30 days of discipline, 30 days of keeping promises to yourself, 30 days of doing what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like it. Because here's what happens. If you can't be disciplined for 30 days, you won't be disciplined for 30 years. If you can't keep a promise to yourself for 1 month, why would you keep it for 1 decade? The uncomfortable truth is this: growth requires discomfort. Change requires pain. Not the pain of tragedy, but the pain of discipline. And here's the choice you face every single day. You can either pay the price of discipline or pay the price of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. The price of discipline is paid in small installments. Getting up early when you'd rather sleep, reading when you'd rather watch television, saving money when you'd rather spend it, exercising when you'd rather sit on the couch. These are small prices, paid daily, but the price of regret, that's paid in one lump sum at the end, and it's devastating. That 65-year-old man paid it all at once. 40 years of accumulated regret crashed down on him in a single moment of clarity. He realized he couldn't go back. He couldn't recover those years. He couldn't undo the decisions, or more accurately, the non-decisions that led him to that moment. The beautiful thing about right now, this very moment, is that your story isn't finished yet. You still have time to change the ending. You still have months and years ahead where you can plant better seeds and harvest better crops. But, and this is critical, the planting has to start somewhere. It has to start sometime. And I'm suggesting that it starts right now with a commitment to 30 days. So here's what I want you to understand about this 1-month plan. It's not about perfection, and it's not about massive overnight transformation. It's about proving to yourself that you can change, that you have what it takes, that the gap between who you are and who you want to be can be closed through simple daily disciplines practiced consistently over time. There's an ancient principle that most people ignore, and it costs them everything. The principle is this: you must plant in all seasons, to harvest in all seasons. The farmer doesn't plant only when he feels like it. He doesn't wait for perfect weather. He plants in spring because that's when planting happens, and if he misses that window, the whole year is lost. Most people treat their lives like they have unlimited planting seasons. They think they can start any time, so they start never. Week 1 of this plan is your planting season, and what you plant here determines everything that follows. The first thing you need to do, and I mean the very first thing, before you set any goals or make any plans, is get brutally honest with yourself. Most people lie to themselves every single day. They look in the mirror and see someone who's doing okay, someone who's got it mostly figured out, someone who's just having a temporary setback. But temporary setbacks that last 5 years aren't temporary, they're permanent conditions you've accepted. I call this the personal inventory, and it's uncomfortable because honesty usually is. Take out a piece of paper, yes, actual paper, because something happens when you write things down with your own hand and assess 5 major areas of your life. First, your finances. How much money do you actually have? Not how much you think you should have, not how much you tell people you have, but the real number. What does your bank account say? What do your credit card statements say? If someone looked at your financial life, would they see discipline or chaos? Second, your health. Step on that scale. Look at what you've been eating. When was the last time you exercised? When was the last time you had a full physical? Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life, and most people treat their cars better than they treat their bodies. They get oil changes on schedule, but haven't had a checkup in 5 years. Third, your relationships. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are your closest relationships healthy, growing, life-giving? Or are you surrounded by people who complain, make excuses, and discourage your growth? This one hurts because sometimes we realize we've been investing time in relationships that are slowly poisoning us. Fourth, your knowledge. When was the last time you read a book? When was the last time you learned something new that could improve your income, your health, your relationship? Most people stop learning the day they leave school, and then they wonder why their lives stop growing. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. There's no neutral ground. Fifth, your attitude. How do you talk to yourself? What story are you telling yourself about why you are where you are? Are you blaming the economy, your boss, your spouse, your parents, your education? Or are you taking responsibility? Because here's the reality. Until you accept full responsibility for where you are, you'll never have the power to change where you're going. I once knew a farmer who had terrible crops year after year. He blamed everything. The soil was wrong, the weather was bad, the seeds were defective, the government regulations hurt him, his neighbors somehow had better luck. One day an experienced farmer visited his land, looked around and said something simple. Your soil is fine, your weather is the same as everyone else's. The problem is you're planting the wrong seeds at the wrong depth at the wrong time and you're not tending them properly. The failing farmer got angry at first, but then he realized something. He'd been blaming everything except his own planting habits. That's what most of us do with our lives. We blame the soil, our circumstances, instead of examining what we're planting and how we're tending it. Week 1 is about examining your planting habits with ruthless honesty. After you've assessed these 5 areas, write down where you actually are, not where you wish you were, not where you pretend you are on social media, where you actually are. This isn't about shame. This is about accuracy. A doctor can't treat a disease he doesn't diagnose. You can't fix a problem you won't acknowledge. Then, next to each area, write down where you want to be 30 days from now. Notice I said 30 days, not 30 years. Most people set goals so far in the future that they never feel the urgency to start today. 30 days is close enough to feel real, but far enough to make meaningful progress. What could your finances look like 30 days from now if you stopped the bleeding, if you saved instead of spent, if you earned a little extra? What could your health look like if you exercised 4 times a week and ate real food? What could your knowledge look like if you read 30 pages every single day? Here's something I learned from years of studying success. What gets measured gets improved. The simple act of writing down your current reality and your 30-day target creates a gap, and your mind naturally wants to close that gap. But most people never create this measurement system. They float through life with vague wishes instead of specific targets. I want to be healthier means nothing. I want to lose 8 pounds and be able to run 2 miles without stopping by February 9th means everything. Now, the targets you set need to be realistic but challenging. If you're currently reading 0 books per year, don't set a goal to read 50 books in 30 days. That's fantasy. But 1 book in 30 days? 2 books? That's realistic and challenging. If you're currently not exercising at all, don't plan to work out 2 hours every single day. Plan for 20 minutes, 4 times a week. Small disciplines practiced consistently will take you further than massive efforts attempted sporadically. Most people skip this entire first week. They want to jump straight to the exciting part, the action, the motivation, the big changes. But without this foundation, everything else crumbles. It's like trying to build a house without pouring the foundation first. It might look good for a little while, but when the storms come, and they always come, the whole thing collapses. The philosophy here is simple but profound. Incremental improvement compounds over time. If you get just 1% better each day for 30 days, you're not 30% better at the end, you're exponentially better because improvement builds on improvement. But it starts with knowing exactly where you are, exactly where you're going, and exactly what you need to do each day to close that gap. This first week isn't glamorous. Nobody's going to cheer for you while you're doing an honest self-assessment. Nobody's going to celebrate when you write down uncomfortable truths about your current situation. But this is where winners are made, in the quiet, unsexy work of getting clear, getting honest, and getting specific about what needs to change. Once you know where you stand, once you've planted your seeds with intention and clarity, once you've set your 30-day targets in these 5 critical areas, here's what happens in week 2. You start building the daily disciplines that will carry you not just through this month, but through the rest of your life. Week 2 is where most people's plans fall apart. The excitement of starting something new has worn off, and now you're left with the reality of doing the work. This is where discipline separates itself from motivation. Motivation is what gets you started. Discipline is what keeps you going when motivation has packed its bags and left town. And discipline, despite what most people think, isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one decision at a time. Week 2 is about establishing what I call the daily non-negotiables. These are the handful of activities that, if done consistently, will absolutely guarantee your progress. Not might guarantee it, not possibly guarantee it, will guarantee it. The problem is, most people try to change everything at once. They want to overhaul their entire life on Monday morning, and by Wednesday afternoon they're exhausted and back to their old habits. I knew an executive once who earned $250,000 a year. Sharp guy, successful by most standards. But he was stuck, plateaued, not growing. I asked him a simple question, "What are you reading?" He looked at me like I'd asked him to solve a calculus equation. "Jim," he said, "I'm too busy to read. I've got meetings, deadlines, emails, phone calls. I can't find 15 minutes in my day." I said, "That's interesting. So you're telling me you can't find 15 minutes out of 1,440 minutes in a day? That's 1%. You can't invest 1% of your day into your own growth?" He got defensive, started listing all his responsibilities, all his obligations. So I asked him another question. "How much television did you watch last night?" The room got quiet. "That's different," he said. But it wasn't different. It was a choice. He chose entertainment over education. He chose comfort over growth. And that's why he was stuck. Here's my philosophy on reading, and I'll be direct about it. Miss a meal, but don't miss your reading. Your body can handle skipping a meal occasionally, but your mind starves when you stop feeding it. Successful people read. Poor people watch television and wonder why they're poor. Read 30 minutes a day, every single day, and in 5 years you'll be unrecognizable. The person you become through consistent learning transforms everything: your income, your relationships, your confidence, your opportunities. But reading is just one piece. Week 2 is about creating what I call the success routine. Look at any highly successful person, and you'll find they have a morning ritual. They don't wake up and immediately start reacting to the world, emails, news, other people's emergencies. They wake up and spend the first hour of their day investing in themselves. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's planning their day. Maybe it's meditation or prayer. Whatever it is, they're putting on their own oxygen mask first before trying to help everyone else. Your morning sets the tone for your entire day. If you wake up rushed, stressed, reactive, that energy carries through everything you do. But if you wake up 30 minutes earlier than you need to, just 30 minutes, and use that time intentionally, you've won the day before most people have even opened their eyes. Start small. Don't try to create a 3-hour morning routine when you're currently hitting snooze 5 times and rushing out the door. Add 15 minutes of reading. That's it, just 15 minutes. Once that becomes automatic, add something else. The other non-negotiable in week 2 is evaluating your associations. I've said this for years, and it's still true. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. If you're spending your time with people who complain, make excuses, and stay stuck, that's going to rub off on you. It's not mean to distance yourself from negative people, it's survival. This doesn't mean you abandon everyone who's struggling. But there's a difference between someone who's struggling and working to improve versus someone who's struggling and wants company in their misery. Some people don't want solutions. They want sympathy for their problems. They want you to agree that life is hard, that success is for other people, that circumstances are to blame. Run from these people. Run fast. Now we get to week 3, and this is where things get interesting. By week 3, you've done the honest assessment. You've set your targets, you've started building daily disciplines, and right around day 15 to day 20, something predictable happens. Resistance shows up. Your old self starts fighting your new habits. That voice in your head, and you know the one I'm talking about, starts whispering reasons to quit. You've done pretty good for 2 weeks. You can take a day off. This isn't working as fast as you thought. Maybe it's not worth it. You're too tired today. You'll do double tomorrow. That voice is a liar. It's the voice of your old patterns trying to protect themselves. See, your brain likes habits because habits are efficient. Your brain doesn't care if the habits are good or bad, it just wants predictability. When you start changing habits, your brain interprets that as danger and tries to pull you back to what's familiar. Mr. Shove taught me something about this resistance. He said, "Jim, when you start doing the right things, the wrong things fight back. That's how you know you're making progress. If everything stays comfortable, you're not growing. So when you feel that resistance in week 3, that's actually a positive sign. It means you're disrupting old patterns. It means change is happening. But here's where most people fail. They confuse activity with productivity. I see this constantly. Someone decides they want to improve their finances, so they start reading about finances, watching videos about finances, talking about finances. They feel productive, but they haven't actually done anything productive. They haven't cut expenses, increased income, or invested money. They've been active, but not productive. During weeks 2 and 3, track your daily wins. Not your daily activities, your daily wins. Did you actually read today? Did you actually exercise? Did you actually save money? Did you actually have a meaningful conversation with someone you love? Write it down every single evening. 3 wins. That's it. 3 things you did today that moved you toward your 30-day targets. This daily tracking does something powerful. It creates momentum. One good day leads to another. One kept promise leads to another. Pretty soon, you've got a streak going, and you don't want to break the streak. I've seen people transform their entire lives because they didn't want to break a 14-day reading streak or a 20-day exercise streak. The economics are simple. Discipline costs less than regret. Every single day, you're paying one price or the other. The price of discipline is paid up front. It's paid in the morning when you get up early. It's paid in the evening when you read instead of watching mindless television. It's paid when you choose the salad over the cheeseburger. These prices are small, but they're daily. The price of regret is paid later, and it's massive. It's paid when you're 65 years old, standing in the back of a seminar, wondering where your life went. Don't pay that price. Pay the small price of discipline now. Now, as you enter the final week, something remarkable begins to happen, something that makes all the discomfort worth it. Week 4 is when the magic happens, but not the kind of magic most people expect. It's not fireworks and lightning bolts. It's something quieter but far more powerful. You start seeing yourself differently. The person looking back at you in the mirror isn't quite the same person who started this plan 4 weeks ago. Something has shifted. Not everything has changed. Rome wasn't built in a day. And neither is a transformed life, but something fundamental has moved inside you. You've proven to yourself that you can keep a promise. You've shown yourself that discipline is possible. You've demonstrated that the gap between who you are and who you want to be can actually be closed. This identity shift is what separates people who succeed long-term from people who have occasional bursts of progress followed by collapse. When you see yourself as someone who reads every day, you don't have to debate whether to read. You're a reader, so you read. When you see yourself as someone who keeps financial discipline, you don't have to argue with yourself about that impulse purchase. People like you don't make those decisions. Identity drives behavior far more powerfully than willpower ever could. I want to tell you about the Chinese bamboo tree. When you plant a Chinese bamboo tree, you water it and fertilize it for an entire year, and nothing happens. Not a single shoot breaks through the ground. You water it and fertilize it for a second year. Still nothing. 3rd year, nothing. 4th year, nothing. Most people would quit. They'd assume the seed was dead, that their effort was wasted, that nothing was happening. But in the 5th year, that bamboo tree grows 90 feet in just 6 weeks. 90 feet in 6 weeks after 5 years of invisible progress. The question is, did the tree grow 90 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow 90 feet in 5 years? The answer is obvious. It grew for 5 years. All that time, when nothing visible was happening, the tree was developing a massive root system underground, a foundation strong enough to support rapid growth when the time came. Most people quit during their underground season. They plant seeds, they water them for a few weeks, they don't see immediate results, and they dig up the seeds to check if anything's happening. Then they wonder why nothing grows. The 30 days you've just completed or the 30 days you're about to complete are root-building days. You might not see dramatic external changes yet. You might not be wealthy yet. You might not have your dream body yet. You might not have all your relationships healed yet. But underground, invisible to everyone, including yourself, roots are growing. Those roots are the habits you've established, the disciplines you've practiced, the promises you've kept to yourself, and those roots will support everything that comes next. Week 4 is when you start to feel those roots taking hold. Exercise doesn't feel quite as hard as it did 3 weeks ago. Reading has become something you actually look forward to. Saving money feels less like sacrifice and more like self-respect. The disciplines are starting to become automatic. Now, here's what you need to understand about habits and automaticity. There's a difference between something being easy and something being automatic. Week 4, disciplines might not be easy yet, but they're becoming automatic. You're not debating with yourself as much. You're not negotiating. You're not bargaining for just one day off. You're doing the things because that's what you do now. That's who you are now. And this is critical, week 4 is also when you need to lock these habits in place so they don't disappear the moment life gets challenging, and life will get challenging. There will be disruptions, emergencies, unexpected events that throw off your routine. The difference between people who maintain progress and people who slide backward is preparation for these moments. Here's how you lock in habits. You attach them to existing structures in your life. You don't leave them floating in space hoping you'll remember. You connect your new reading habit to your morning coffee. The coffee happens. The reading happens. You connect your evening planning session to dinner. Dinner happens. Planning happens. You connect your exercise to your lunch break. Lunch happens. Exercise happens. When you attach new habits to existing reliable behaviors, they stick. The philosophy I want you to understand is this. You're either paying the price or enjoying the price. Early on, discipline feels like paying a price. It feels like sacrifice. It feels like you're giving something up, but somewhere around week 4, something shifts. You start enjoying the price. You start feeling the benefits. You sleep better because you exercised. You feel sharper because you've been reading. You feel more in control because your finances are organized. The price is still being paid. You're still getting up early, still making disciplined choices, but now it feels less like cost and more like investment. Now, here's what I want you to do as week 4 closes. Plan your next 30-day cycle. See, the biggest mistake people make is treating transformation like a destination. They think I'll do this for 30 days and then I'm done. But success isn't a 30-day event. It's a handful of disciplines practiced every day. The question isn't what will I do for 30 days? The question is, what will I do for the rest of my life? Your next 30-day cycle should build on this one. Maybe you keep the same daily disciplines but add one more. Maybe you increase the intensity. Instead of reading 15 minutes, you read 30 minutes. Instead of exercising 20 minutes 4 times a week, you exercise 30 minutes 5 times a week. Small incremental improvements that build on the foundation you've created. This is the continuous improvement model, and it's how ordinary people achieve extraordinary results over time. Not through massive heroic efforts that can't be sustained, but through small daily disciplines that compound over months and years. A person who improves just 1% each day isn't 1% better at the end of the year. They're 37 times better because improvement compounds. What you've started in this 30 days will ripple out into every area of your life. And here's the beautiful part. Your transformation doesn't just affect you. When you change, when you grow, when you become more disciplined and more purposeful, everyone around you feels it. Your kids watch you read and they start reading. Your spouse sees your commitment and it inspires their commitment. Your coworkers notice your energy and your focus and it raises the standard for everyone. One person's transformation creates permission for other people's transformation. I think about legacy a lot these days. When you're young, you think you have unlimited time, but the older you get, the more you realize that time is the one asset you can't replace. Money lost can be earned back. Health loss can sometimes be regained. Relationships damaged can be repaired. But time, once it's gone forever. The question isn't whether you'll leave a legacy. Everyone leaves a legacy. The question is, what will that legacy be? Will it be a legacy of procrastination, of unfulfilled potential, of dreams discussed but never pursued? Or will it be a legacy of discipline, of growth, of someone who decided that ordinary wasn't good enough and then did something about it? The decision you make about this 30-day plan isn't just about the next month, it's about the next 30 years. It's about the person you become, the example you set, the life you build. So here's my final challenge to you, and I want you to take this seriously. Don't let another month slip by. Don't wait for perfect conditions, because perfect conditions never come. Don't wait until you have more time, because you'll never have more time than you have right now. Don't wait until Monday, until January, until you finish this project at work, until the kids are older, until you're less stressed. All of that is just negotiation with mediocrity. Start today. Start right now, this moment, with one decision. Maybe that decision is to do an honest assessment of where you are. Maybe it's to read for 15 minutes before bed tonight. Maybe it's to wake up 30 minutes earlier tomorrow. Whatever it is, make the decision and then keep the promise you make to yourself. Because every kept promise builds trust with yourself, and every broken promise erodes it. I think about two roads diverging constantly. Everyone comes to that fork. One road is comfortable, familiar, easy. It's the road of excuses and blame, and I'll start tomorrow. Millions of people travel that road, and it leads to regret. The other road is uncomfortable, challenging, requires discipline. Fewer people travel this road because it's harder at the beginning, but this road of discipline, of kept promises, of consistent daily improvement, this road leads to a life you're proud of. You can't travel both roads. You have to choose. And the choice you make in the next 30 days will tell you which road you're really on. Choose wisely. Choose today. Choose the person you want to become, and then become that person one day, one decision, one discipline at a time. The life you want is waiting on the other side of the disciplines you're avoiding. Go get it.